The FF7 Remake trailer proves you can't go home again. Alright, it was a good one, fellow peasants. So I'm dithering about in the morning, looking at the news, and I see this story, and it just bothers me. It bothered me. Now, I don't want to come across as the FF7 fanboy, White Knight defender, trying to defend against any and all criticisms people may have. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But because I'm sure some people, when I have seen these kind of comments, have this notion that the remake is going to be cringe. And Matthew Dessum starts this article by saying, and I kind of agree with him on this point, to be fair, that video games are an industry that the tech has advanced so quickly in. More than most any other industries. Like, video game technology is really blowing up, and it just makes it even more staggering, the differences between old retro games like original FF7 and what they're becoming now. And I agree, on that front, it blows my absolute mind, but what Matthew goes on to say, and I think it's just like one of the most outright declarations that I am a nostalgia, rose-tinted goggles kind of gamer, and there is nothing you can do to bring back retro games in any way that I'm going to accept it. I mean, that's kind of what I get. Ever more convincingly digital renditions of Keanu Reeves, and then you plug in an old Atari, and it turns out that Pitfall, what the hell is Pitfall, just isn't as exciting today as it was when Jack Black sold it to you. So what you're saying is that there's really no way you can make old, exciting games exciting today. I disagree. Oh wow, there's actually a commercial. Well, let's have a look. Whoa! Is that Jack Black? Holy hell, he is young. My God, he is a chunky, bearded, beautiful man now. Okay. Pitfall Harry? Oh my, okay, that's why I've never played it. God damn.
Jungle treasure. It was really neat. If you haven't met Pitfall Harry, you're missing the year's most incredible video game.
Am I?
Pitfall.
Oh, Pitfall Harry. Oh.
Since I'm a Pitfall Harry, no other man will do.
Pitfall, designed by David.
No other man will do. That kid's about 12. Hold up, let's see that again.
Since I'm a Pitfall Harry, no other man will do.
My God, why would you get such a young girl to say such a cringy line? Wow, was that what gaming adverts were like back in the day? My God. But anyway, so Pitfall Harry, maybe I'll have to play it. It's a game of the year, apparently. This person then continues on. People revisit the games. They love growing up. The approach is straightforward. If you're jumping one generation, as in the PS4 version of The Last of Us, and a viable option for 2-generation jumps like Shadow of the Colossus is doable, but to sell a game from 1997 on a modern console, you pretty much have to fully reboot it. Exactly, main. This is why it needs to be reimagined. And as the trailer for the Final Fantasy VII Remake that premiered Wednesday at the Tokyo Game Show demonstrates, that approach can make flaws in the original material painfully obvious. Painfully obvious. I mean, I might be dense because there was nothing obvious to me. Everything I saw in that trailer was sweet, but no, apparently it is very obvious, and that is because while the remake looks right, it feels right, and it resembles the memory of Final Fantasy VII, the shift to spoken dialogue is where Matt has the issue. And that the wildly unconvincing voice acting that has come with it seems like it's going to be fatal. Fatal! He is playing it up so much, it's unreal. So in a 3-minute trailer, there are 3 objectively terrible line readings. So this is fact, people. This is not subjective opinion. This is just objective. And those lines are, oh, I know these. Let's lay down some rubber from Jesse. That was my turn. I think that was Barrett's. And of course, Don Quixote's, don't be shy, little kitten. Shimmy on over and give daddy some sugar. Give Pezzy some subscribe. And at that pace, with those kind of lines, the remake, if it takes 40 hours or so to play, it will make gamers cringe 2,400 times. I mean, what? I mean, okay, am I going to admit those lines are kind of cheesy, corny, over the top-ish? Yeah, but I mean, this is just what Final Fantasy is. This is what it's been like for the longest of times, and that's including voice acting. This is nothing new. I mean, have you played a Final Fantasy game like 12, 13, 10, 15? I mean, 15 was littered with them, my goodness. Like the bros lines, I mean, that game was leaning more into realism than Final Fantasy 7 Remake should be, both in graphical engine, both in tone, in theme, in aesthetic. And even then in combat, there was, over here, knock, I'm going all out. Or the one I particularly like, woohoo, we're alive. Let's celebrate by eating dead things. So something dead. You get it, just totally ridiculous lines, and they were worked. The pros were singing them off 24/7, and no one batted a damn eyelid. And I mean, this is what frustrates me, because it's not just this arc. I've seen these kind of comments, and that if people aren't complaining about one thing, that Final Fantasy VII Remake wasn't like for like enough. My God, remember that. That the idea of Square Enix being bold enough to reimagine anything in this game is a crime. It's a crime to most. They wanted exactly the same characters, exactly the same lines, the scenes to play out the same way. They just wanted an upscale of the visuals. But now that's not good enough, because there are going to be lines we're going to want to see. Personally, I want to see this guy are sick. But that's just the tone. That's the essence, the heart, the vibe, the feel of Final Fantasy VII. But yeah, those are apparently terrible lines. Now it's my turn. How is that? And don't be shy, little kid. Don Corneo is just that. He is that over top. It's not like the writing in the original game wasn't cringeworthy. It absolutely was. But the cartoonish dialogue was offset by the cartoonish visuals in a way. And that made the whole thing work as a camp. And it's a lot easier to ignore a terrible line if it shows up in dialogue bubble than if it's an actor trying to make it sound natural. Well, here's the thing. Who's to say they're trying to make it sound natural? I don't think that Don Corneo line was at all trying to be natural. I don't think that anything about this should be natural. One thing I've maintained with Unreal Engine is I love it because it can bring the ridiculous to it. I feel like ridiculousness, did I say it? But ridiculousness. And that's just going to permeate this game no matter what. Like, if we're going to really have, like, Red standing in his sailor suit, if we're really going to be going to the honeybee and the bathtub scene, and, you know, let's say the play, the play in the gold saucer with the dragon and the princess and the knight, like, if those things are going to happen, which fans absolutely do want, I don't understand why we would try to keep the ridiculousness in the game, but try to make the dialogue more sensible than the ridiculousness. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's not one or the other. I mean, we're not going to have a ridiculous game that has the heart and essence of FF7, but try to make the dialogue all, you know, more straight down the line. That would even be worse to me. They show an original part of the scene, and then finish off, and this is where, Matthew, you just straight contradict yourself, man. Unless I'm reading it wrong. The idiosyncratic use of ellipses was Final Fantasy VII's secret weapon. I agree the ellipsis is, yeah. And the remake will be much diminished by that absence. Oh, no, it won't. It really won't. The ellipses were a thing, but to go as far as saying much diminished, like the overall Final Fantasy VII product will just be greatly diminished without ellipses. Just the dots. Are you serious? How is that even possible? You're telling me that the ellipses outweighs this incredible upscaling that we're seeing, these reimagined characters, this incredible combat system, this huge, colourful, beautiful, interactive, varieties of regions, and how you interact with the domain with the characters and the models and the soundtrack and those crazy summons we saw and the beautiful cutscenes and the cinematics, all of that. Well, that just don't count. No, none of that. You're not putting any weight of that into because the ellipses are gone. Come on, Matthew. Come on, my friend. Right, also, anyway, if Barrett doesn't... I said I wasn't going to be the feisty Final Fantasy VII White Knight fanboy. I think I just slipped into it just then. Anyway, the remake will be much diminished by the absence. Also, if Barrett doesn't shake his fist and stomp his feet like a wind-up toy whenever he's mad, is it really Final Fantasy VII? Is he saying that he wants Barrett to do that ridiculous, I'm angry, in the remake? But because if that's the case, then it's just as, how do you justify something as ridiculous as that, but the voice lines being too over the top and dramatic and cartoonish? That's too far. Don't understand that. Unless, of course, you're not saying that you want that in the remake. It's just that the remake, if it doesn't have it, it won't be Final Fantasy VII. In which case, what you're saying is the remake can't work under any circumstance. That's what I'm getting from this. is that no game that is too retro is too hard, the text too far, text over to voicing just will never work, and all of those ridiculous idiosyncrasies. I think that's the right word. Idiosyncratic, is that what I'm thinking of that? How do you spell that? Yeah, a mode of behaviour or way of thought peculiar to an infant. Well, I did use the right word. So what you're saying is that it can never work. A remake can never work. In which case, off your pop, man. Off your pop. Off the Final Fantasy VII Remake bandwagon you go. Now, of course, and the guy works for Slate.com, I don't even know this site, and he's entitled to his opinion, of course, but by the sounds of it, it's just cynicism, outright cynicism, that it can at all work, that a remake of this kind of size and scale and grandeur, which we have never seen. This is the really exciting thing about Final Fantasy VII being remade to this kind of size. We have never in video game history seen anything to this kind of scale and size, and even just legendary grandeur and reputation. Nothing comes close. But to sweep all of that under the carpet, to completely write it all off, because in an amazing trailer you were able to nitpick 3 lines that might be considered kind of over the top and dramatic, which we don't even really know because we don't know the context of those. Like, this is how trailers always play, in my opinion. Oh god, my camera's froze. Keep moving, they won't know. Yeah, this is how all Final Fantasy trailers have appeared, in my opinion. The 15 trailers were no same. When they sort of cut it down and this freaking camera. Oh, there we go. This is how all the trailers have been. Like the way that they do the cuts in the trailers. No, it cuts to really strong, poignant, dramatic, over the top, trailerish type commentary. That's why it's in the trailer. Because it's a 2-3 second clip of something dramatic happening. Within the context of the rest of it, we can't really say whether it's over the top. Whether Jesse's saying, let's burn some rubber, or he's a keeper when they're flying on the thing. Sure, all of her lines might sound like that, and that might just be Jesse's over the top nature. You know, Riku would be the same. Yuffie's definitely going to be the same. Like, this is a really difficult thing to nitpick on, because it even then comes down to, okay, do we even start changing the personalities of these beloved characters? Like will Yuffie come across way too OTT in this remake because it's got voice acting? In which case, you suggesting we change her character? No, I think that would be more fatal. That would be more fatal than not the use of freaking ellipses. But yeah, I'm sure that there's many people who share this sentiment. I know there are. I've seen them commenting on my videos at times. And to those people, I would say, just wait until we've never seen anything like this. Wait until the product is out before you start judging. I mean, I'm sure from the tone of this, Matthew's decision is already made, and I'm sure that when the game comes out, they'll be one of the first person to tank the review score. And this is what I mean when I continuously said that no matter what happens with this remake, no matter how it is done, us fans, we begged and we asked and we signed petitions, many of us, for so long for Square Enix to do this, but there were always those who were cynical, and there will always be, no matter what they do, those who find something to complain about. And in this case, it's that the remake is carrying too much of the essence of the original's ridiculousness, and that it should go more serious with its lines. But anyway, when it comes to the voice lines, I need to see the rest of the characters. I need to see them in their emotional moments. I need to see real scenes and real moments and real things being expressed, rather than just cheesy one-liners before we go into like a dramatic scene or moment. But there we go. I just had to get that rant out because it got right under my skin, this article. More than it probably should. I personally, and I'd like to know if you are the same as this, let me know in the comment section below. I am so happy with the tone of this remake. Like the tone, the visuals, the aesthetic, and the marriage between all of those things. I'm loving it. It's exactly straight down the line of the point that I want it to be. I'm certain that there's going to be some things I'm not going to like, such as some censorship. I think I'm expecting some. There is going to be some, and Square Enix, I think they're in a really difficult position. Again, part of what Matthew's touched on here. No, there are some scenes that will only play, I have no doubt about it, it will only play well in these old, like, barely 3D, chunky polygons, that they just will not play in a remake. There will be certain scenes that will just come across as uncomfortable, as squeamy, unpleasant to watch, doesn't carry the same humour. And those are things that Square Enix is going to have a tweak around. And I just know for a fact when they do tweak around, oh my god, the screams of censorship. The Final Fantasy fan base is so hot on censorship right now that I can just tell for a fact the remake is going to flare some people up really bad. And just because, you know, it might be something like Cloud in the hot tub. Like, do we really want to see those big burly ass dudes and then cut to a scene in the dark with Cloud going, ooh, and everyone going, ah, ooh, ooh, oh, do you like it there? Like, come now, people, be reasonable. Either way, you guys get it. I am peasanted out. Happy damn Friday. I hope you have a good weekend, guys. And yeah, I want to know in the comment section below, what points of this do you agree with? How do you think that Final Fantasy VII should handle the tone of its dialogue versus its wackiness? And what kind of areas do you expect some tweaks and censorships? And indeed, how willing are you? I'd really like to know. I'll see you guys on the next video. Coop-o! Coop-a-dee-coop-coop. Coop-o.